Discover College Soccer podcast is sponsored by VIO. VIO is the #1 AI camera solution helping players capture college recruitment videos. Check out their new starter and family options by clicking on the link in the description or visit Discover College Soccer to learn more. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Discover College Soccer. Today, I'm lucky enough to be joined by Coach Beltran from Seward County Community College in Kansas. That's a lot of C's, but welcome, Coach.
How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well, thanks. You are now part of the illustrious subset of Discover College Soccer interviewees that are now coming on a second time at a different college or university. So welcome to that illustrious club. You're now at Seward County. You were at State Fair. And so you've been at Seward. You've had one season under your belt, correct?
Correct. I started here at Seward County in February of last year, and was our inaugural season for the college. So I got the opportunity to start a program from absolutely zero, and that was one of several things that appealed to me, but that was definitely one of them. So yeah, everything we're going to talk about is brand new and still has that new car smell to it.
Well, that's pretty sweet. Well, I mean, for 1 year in, I mean, kudos, because you guys had a pretty good season when you look at your record, and honestly, more importantly, on the recruiting front, which we talk a lot about on this podcast, but you had a pretty big roster for a first year program and B, a junior college program.
And starting not even starting the job till January, February. I mean, like when I got here, there literally was nothing here. Like we didn't have one ball, not one recruit. It was starting it from nothing.
So walk me through that. What was your focus? What did you do? What what worked, what didn't work, and you've had a very good career in the 2-year college space. So I think you're a pro now at the 2-year recruiting, which can be tough. It's a lot tougher than the 4-year, right? You're doubling your amount of recruiting.
Yes. Well, year one it was finding everybody anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. But it's I really have come to enjoy the 2-year college. I feel like the level of competition is so much higher than people imagine because it's men's soccer. I mean, it's just a very particular animal. Honestly, I feel like in the conference and region that we were in, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit more, and you saw a little bit on the message I sent you, it's just one of the most competitive areas that I have seen. I've been at 4-year school. We've played a lot of 4-year schools with the places that I've been, and from top to bottom, I would probably say that this Kansas region, this Kansas conference, the KJCC, is the top most competitive region in the entire NJCA Division One. And I'd put it up there with some competitive 4-year schools. I mean, we went undefeated against 4-year schools this past fall. We did very well against several NAIA schools playing against their varsities this spring as in preparation for this year. So that was part of it. But to your actual question, the first thing I had to do was get organized, and like I said, figure out that we didn't have anything. So get uniforms designed. Worked with a wonderful guy that takes care of us. We use Joma brand uniforms. I met him when I was at a previous job, and we got to design our uniform ourselves and have it be like it's unique to us. It's not just printing; like it's actually something brand new and great for us. And then start building that roster, leveraging every relationship that I had, and saying, "Hey, man, I need people. I need good ones, but I need lots of them." We went the international route a lot because it's a little bit quicker. It's a little bit easier to find talent later. And I was getting started in February, and so we did that a lot. And also because in this area, Seward County is very, very, very used to working with international students. They have a really good process for that, based on success they've had in other sports. Soccer is new to them, but the athletic department's been there for a long time. They've had a history of success. They had women's basketball won nationals a few years ago. The volleyball team was in the national tournament the year before last. So definitely there were some things there that showed me that they were going to take it seriously, and we're playing in that competitive of a region. We ended up with lots of players, and ask your students that follow you hear this. One thing I am extremely proud of is we were looking at almost 100% returning, which even the guys that were not getting as much playing time for whatever reason, maturity, age, whatever, they want to come back and they want to continue to be a part of what we're building. So we're going to have 45 plus this fall because almost everyone was a freshman. Most of them are wanting to return, and obviously we couldn't sit on our hands. We got to, especially in this region, we have to continue to grow and get better. And so yeah, we're going to have a big roster, probably not the size we want most of the time, but yeah, we've had some good success on the recruiting side, and we're very proud and excited about that and about our retention.
So, talk to me a little bit about international recruiting. I mean, I'm guessing the community colleges don't have these great travel budgets for you to go abroad and see all these players. So what's it like kind of recruiting the international player? And I know from my past experience, sometimes you might get a great player, but they're not really there on the academic side, or you get, the player who just can't quite understand there's rules around how much you can train and all these other things, and they're used to pro
Right.
environments. And so what is it like kind of recruiting the international player and getting them to come back to, you know, a junior college environment, but also one that's probably way different than their home environment?
Sure. So the first part, as far as the recruiting and the getting them here, the first thing is leveraging relationships that have been built throughout the years. I was new to Seward, but it wasn't like you said, it wasn't my first rodeo. It wasn't my first go around. At this point, I've got more than 12 years in at the NJCAA level. So I've been doing this for a while. I've seen some things that work, some things that don't, but I've worked with certain agencies that it's an easy way to get some numbers and get some players, and they know what I'm looking for. I know which ones I've built a good relationship with, and there's that level of trust of, so and so is going to tell me the truth. If they tell me this guy's a top player, there's a good chance he is a top player. And our process is it's like a job interview. We make sure that we let them know and make it very clear what our standards are. We want winners on and off the field. We want to be competitive on and off the field. Off the field is a friendly competition, but I want to be better than everyone else on my campus. I want the instructors to say, "Man, I'm so excited that I have all these soccer players." Not, "Oh, crap, I've got a bunch of soccer players." I want to build that, and we tell them from the very beginning, if you're coming here to just party and just go crazy, or if you don't plan to let the academic side of it seriously, or the who you represent in the community side seriously and with everyone else, then this might not be the right place for you. And I can give you a list of other places that you can talk to, but we're not it. And then when they get here, we have to live up to what we say. We have to make sure that what we said in those interviews and those phone calls, that's the reality, that we are setting that standard, that we are honest about what we're doing. And we do that from the very beginning. We just let them know soccer is incredibly important, but it's not the only thing that you're here for. And we've been fairly successful with that. I mean, we had some guys that transferred to us to help us build that sophomore standing, and one of them still needs another semester to graduate. He's coming back to graduate, and he's going to be a student assistant. So he's getting something out of it, but he's not just leaving, even though he didn't finish. We had two other guys that graduated, that one just recently signed with Shorter University in Georgia. The other one is still weighing three options, trying to figure out which one he wants. So, but even our sophomores, we've helped them move on. And then the final part are, I also have another player that's graduating in December. He wants to still be here. He wants to do his extra year with us, and even though he graduates in December. And we just live up to those standards. You set them, you treat the players like family. We treat them like we want our own children to be treated. So that means being tough when it's time to be tough, being demanding when it's time to be demanding, but also letting them know that they matter and that everyone here has a role. Your role may not be to be the starting center forward, but there's a reason you're here. There's a role for you, and every one of you matters. And if you get the right people, which we try to do by doing these things, then everything kind of falls into place most of the time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the school. You know, besides the allure of starting a program from scratch, what else was it about the school that kind of drew you in? What are some things you found that are unique and awesome about the school?
Okay, so one, like you said, the starting the program, being able to do everything, set it up my way. Second thing, I thought when I came and interviewed and spoke to the athletic director, spoke to the president, spoke to the coaches that were here, a sense of we want to do the right thing by the students. We want to win and we're committed to winning, but it's not just about winning. It's about doing it the right way. And like I told you a minute ago, that's a big part for me. So it's a good thing that I feel like I found a place that meets that expectation. But they also have the commitment to provide the players within reason, of course, but with the things that we need to be successful. There is a commitment to put some money behind it, to put energy behind it. We had over 1,000 people at our first game. Which 2-year men's college soccer is not always the case for something like that, but it was advertised. It was put everywhere. It's a community that it's a large percent of the community is Hispanic, and there's a lot of love for the sport of soccer, and they've been wanting to have the college add soccer for such a long time. They've been asking for it. We had so much support from everybody, even outside of the college. I mean, like I said, to have over 1,000 people at your inaugural game, that tells you something. Facilities wise, we are sharing with the local high school, but that also means we start on day one with a full turf stadium, with a video scoreboard, with lighted fields. So there's logistics, couple of issues, but man, we're in a top-notch facility from the very beginning. And then also the last piece of it is it's I kind of found an affinity as having done this for some years, where I'm not in a small town that is so tiny that there's nothing to do, nowhere to go, and it's like campus and then cows. But but I'm also in a place that I feel comfortable because it's not a huge city where I have to worry about traffic. I mean, I have a 5-minute commute every single day, and there's something to be said for that. And it's a lot less distractions and temptations for some of the young guys that might need a little help making good decisions. And there's enough to do, but there's not enough to put you in trouble most of the time. I mean, if you want to find trouble, you can find it no matter where you are, but you know what I mean.
For sure, for sure. Well, I mean, you kind of mentioned students coming in. Obviously, it's a new experience for most of those players, not coming from Kansas, let alone the U.S. in many instances. But for whether it's a U.S. based player or an international player, making that transition to college can be challenging. It's a new environment.
Absolutely.
So how does the program, how does the school really support those players in making sure they're successful both on the field and off the field?
Well, for everybody, and we do have some local Kansas kids. We also have a couple of players from Texas. We have access to Oklahoma, and we have a couple of guys that have been showing some interest because we're in the very southwest corner of Kansas. We are literally 15 minutes away from Oklahoma and 45 minutes away from Texas, even though we don't touch Texas because it's just that little piece of that panhandle. So we're in an area we can pull from a lot of places. And so we've got some players from Missouri. Obviously, that's where I was before, so I had some connections out there and some players that we had already started talking to. But regardless of where they're from, international, in-state, out-of-state, one of the biggest things is we want to set them up for success. So there's a lot of things available on campus to help them. There's a testing center that will always hold exams and things if they've missed a day because they've been traveling. So they can come and take it at the testing center instead of missing another day of class. The instructors work really well with them. Our student support services process is amazing. We have some ladies at the Student Success Center that help our guys with building their schedules, with study tips, with lots of things where if they need some help with finding the right assistance. There's a full mental health center on campus. We're in the process of building an on-campus full health center manned by with medical staff. The mental health department is going to move over there. They have access to so many of these things. And then from our end on the soccer side, one, holding them accountable so they know what they need to do. Two, providing them those opportunities. So one of the things we do, for example, is we have two days during season where we have weekly study halls. But I want to treat them like adults that we hope they're going to become. So if they have all A's and B's, and we check their grades every week, if they have all A's and B's, they're doing their job. They don't need me to hold their hand. They're exempt from study hall. They can take care of their own time. They have any C's or D's, then study hall is there, and we're going to require you to be present to help get you to that, hopefully that A and B. And there's tutoring services, and the school does a lot of things socially for them to have, little tiny things like an ice cream social, like popcorn day or international cuisine day, and some of them get to bring their own stuff and things like that. So there's just a lot of support internally, and our programs tend to be supportive of each other. So we go to the women's basketball game, the basketball players come to our games, and all of that builds a sense of community that's been really pretty awesome to be a part of this year.
No, that's great. Well, let's fast forward. Let's say we're in October, we're in the heart of the season. Kind of walk me through what's a typical week going to look like for your players in terms of when classes, practices, games, meals, all that kind of stuff is.
Sure. So most of the time we want them to go to class in the morning during especially those morning ones and early afternoons. We will currently, because we practice at the high school a couple of times, so that we're on the turf that we play on, we're making sure that we are familiar with our home field. So we have a little bit of a home field advantage on the field as well. Not every day is the same, but our current schedule is Mondays and Fridays. We are on the grass fields that are right next to campus. We have 2 practice fields lighted, really nice. I mean, it's a really good setup. They're just not set up for competition, because when they built them a little bit too short. Otherwise, those might have ended up being our home fields for everything. But they're really convenient for practice. So we go at 3:00 on Mondays and Fridays. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we travel. We get on the bus after lunch. They eat lunch around between noon and 1, and we get on the bus and we go to the high school, and we go 1 to 3:00. We have to go a little bit early, but we do have it available twice a week, so that we can be on that field before they get out of school, and then they have their practices for soccer and football and all that. But getting to practice on the turf at the stadium is also really good, really nice. You're going to have a flat spot. You're going to have the same thing that you're going to be playing on. So as far as facilities, we have great access. We do have also something called the Champion Center, which is a full indoor turfed practice facility. I mean, how many two-year schools can say they have that? It's not full size for a soccer field, but it's about 3/4 of one. It was original. So they do baseball in there, they do softball in there, and then we have access to it whenever it's needed. So we use that quite a bit during the spring when we're not at the high school as much and all that. And so having the ability to go indoors when the weather's bad, having the ability to do a night practice or things like that. So morning classes, afternoon, whether it's early afternoon or late afternoon, we do practice, and then we have something going on every evening. Wednesdays and Saturdays are our typical game days. Of course, being soccer, sometimes it might be on a Tuesday, sometimes it might be on a Sunday, but in general, it's Wednesdays and Saturdays. And then Mondays, we usually have an organization meeting where we all get together and we go over any messages that we have to provide the players from administration, anything that we know is going on campus, make sure they know the schedule for the week. When do we leave if we're traveling? When do we need to be at the stadium to set up if we play at home? That kind of thing. Tuesdays, we usually do game film in the evening. So we have game film, we have that. Thursdays is usually study hall. And then Friday, we give them a day off if because I need a day off sometimes. Saturdays we usually play or we travel. Sunday is when we get a full day off, but we restart on Sunday evening with the second day of study hall. So during the season, it's fairly busy, but it's great. On the days that we're not at the stadium, they have the ability to go in the weight room and do things. Although as busy as it is, we don't do a ton in the weight room during season. We focus a lot more on our strength and conditioning when we're in the off season, and in the spring we have a full program.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about the team. I mean, I know you mentioned the roster size that you have, but what about your coaching staff roster? You mentioned a student assistant. Who all's there to help you, and also what other support staff maybe are within the athletic department that help out with the team?
Yeah, in fact, that's actually one of the other things that attracted me to coming over here. I only have to coach the men's team. There's a lot of overlap in soccer, especially at the two-year schools where you have to do men and women, which I never disliked doing the women's side, but it's just so much all at once, and I feel like sometimes they don't get your full attention if you have to split your time. So it's amazing that I get to do just one, and I have a full-time assistant. So and he doesn't have secondary duties. Like, I actually get a full-time staff member that's with me. He is a former collegiate goalkeeper, and he's been a college soccer goalkeepers coach. So I can do this other goalkeeper stuff as well if I need to, but it is such a specialized job that it's great to have somebody with that experience. Aside from that, I have that position for a student assistant, and we have a full trainer staff, 3 full-time trainers. Right now, there's only 2, but they're looking to add the third one. So, 3 full-time trainers. So we have somebody that's going to be assigned to us during season and access to the training room whenever we come back. I've been at places that had part-time people, and that's it. I've been at places that only had 1 and had to be shared by every program. 3 full-time, that's amazing. We have a full wellness center that is open with an indoor track, with weight room, with access to an Olympic-sized pool, with other folks that help the students and have access to things on their own time, plus 2 weight rooms for the teams that are for the athletics department. One is in the dungeon, what we call it. It's in the basement of the athletic gym department. And one is by the Champion Center, which is the building that I told you that that just opened this past spring, that has the indoor practice facility that has its own small weight room. So, I mean, facilities-wise, there's very little to complain about. If I really, really want to, I can find something, but we're in pretty good shape. And health-wise, staff-wise, we're in really good shape. Women's soccer coach has his own full-time assistant, but obviously we help each other if we need to. We have a good relationship because we almost always play back-to-back games. We travel together a lot of the time. So there's 4 full-timers when it comes to the soccer programs, and it's a good setup.
No, it sounds like it. Well, let's transition to you as the head coach there. Kind of give me a quick synopsis of what you look for in a team, the way you try to play, and the culture of the team you're trying to build.
Well, the first part out of that culture, I mentioned it a little bit when we were talking about recruiting and retention, is everybody's got a value, and we start with that, and we go with, if I can get those guys to be a family and take care and care about each other off the field, anything that happens on the field is a whole lot easier to manage. So that's step one. As far as how we coach, how we play, we want the experience they have at practice to mirror what we're going to have on game day, because there's no point in practicing at one level and then playing at another. Obviously, there's times when you have to slow it down and teach what you're going to do before, the portions before you try to get out there. But we're going to be a very tactical team. Just from how long I've been doing this, from having played in Europe, having played in South America, have originally been born in Colombia and having played in Italy, just been exposed to the tactical side of it a lot. So we probably have more preparation and tactical stuff than a lot of programs would put into. But we expect our players to get that mental side. And I think that's what sets us apart sometimes, is that mental aspect it's a very important part, knowing where to be and when to be there, knowing what supporting runs to make. It's not just run forward and go. we want to defend like an Italian team. I told you I played in Italy, so we want to defend like the Italians, and we want to attack like South Americans. Ideally, right? It's not as easy to do as it is to say, but we want to be solid. We want 11 guys working together, compact, give no options for the other team to attack, nowhere to go, close every avenue down, and then once we get the ball, we want to keep it, and we want to take care of it. I don't have a problem with a quick counterattack when the opportunity is there. We're not just going to play possession for the sake of possession. But if it's not there, if there's not an opportunity to go, then let's keep it. Let's take care of it. Let's be methodical, make our runs, break down the other team. At the end of the day, if we have the ball, they can't do anything to us. It's only about how good we are. It doesn't matter how good they are if we keep control.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, really appreciate all the insights. I'm gonna just leave you with one last question, and that is, if you had one piece of advice to give, boys going through this recruiting process at the moment, what is something that you want to make sure that they would know?
I would say find something that's going to be a good fit for where you are and where you want to go with your soccer and with your academic career. So many times people forget one of the two, and you can't have a roadmap to anything if you don't have a beginning and an end. So know where you are, be honest with yourself about where you're starting. Don't worry about labels. There's Division III teams that'll crush Division I teams. There's 2-year schools that'll play at a higher level than this 4-year school. Just find a place that's going to get you an opportunity to get better from where you are today, but it's going to help you become the player, and as a program, as a college, become the man that you want to be. And if you can find that, labels don't matter. That's where you should be going.
Oh, great advice, Coach. Well, hey, really appreciate it. Wish you the best of luck this upcoming fall, and we'll keep track of how your guys are doing as you go towards those national championships. All right.
Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it, and hopefully we get to talk again in the future and talk about how we actually got to go to one.
Sounds good. Take care, Coach. Hi, everybody. It's Matt from Discover College Soccer. I hope you're enjoying the podcast, whether that's on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. I also wanted to let you know about the Discover College Soccer Study Table. This is our brand new online portal that is complete with a 14-part online course giving you all of the ins and outs of the college soccer recruiting process. There's also a wealth of resources such as checklists, templates. There's the spreadsheets that have every soccer program in the country along with their coaches, their contact information, their social media information, some basic stats about the school, and more. Plus, there's an online community where you can ask your questions, share your wins, your losses, any questions that you may have around the college soccer recruiting process. It's all there at the Discover College Soccer Study Table that you can find at discovercollegesoccer.com/study table, and hopefully we will see you there.